The ground shook beneath him as a helicopter descended onto his front yard, blades slicing the silence of dawn. Elijah shielded his eyes, heart pounding not from fear, but disbelief. Two men in suits stepped out carrying a document that would rewrite everything he knew about his past. Inside it words from two forgotten children, now powerful enough to move skies for him. But why him? Why now? And what buried act from decades ago had summoned this moment? This isn't just a story, it's a reckoning. Welcome, story lovers. Comment. Your city below every morning. Elijah buttoned his crisp white shirt, tied his apron, and walked to the same little diner on the corner of Madison and 8th as a black waiter in a mostly white neighborhood. He learned long ago how to stay invisible, polite smiles, quiet footsteps, no sudden moves. He didn't make much, but he never missed a shift and never turned away a hungry face. One rainy afternoon, two muddy children, skin pale, eyes hollow, appeared. Outside the window, no parents, no shoes, just hunger. Elijah didn't ask questions. He brought them warm soup and bread, paid for it himself, and let them sit until the rain stopped. To him, it was nothing, just kindness. But fate doesn't forget kindness, not even after decades. What Elijah didn't know was that feeding those two orphans would begin a ripple he wouldn't see again until 20 years later, when a helicopter interrupted his quiet life. Years passed, and the city changed, but Elijah's life didn't. He kept serving tables, earning just enough to keep the lights on. Customers came and went, some kind, others less so. He'd learned to swallow the insults, the ones wrapped in smiles. "You're one of the good ones," they'd say, or "must be nice, not having to tip yourself." The real sting came when promotions went to less experienced white coworkers. Elijah never complained. He just worked harder. But cracks formed. One night he found a slur carved into the break room locker. "Know your place," he told the manager. Nothing happened. Another day, a wealthy customer refused to be served by him and demanded someone more appropriate. Elijah was reassigned. That night, without a word being spoken. It wasn't new, it was normal despite it all. Elijah stayed. Why? Because kindness was his quiet rebellion. He still paid for a customer's coffee if they looked cold. Still remembered birthdays. Still smiled. Then the diner shut down. A corporate chain bought the block. Key. Elijah, now older, was left jobless and invisible again. He moved back to the tiny house his father built, tucked away near the woods, alone. And forgotten. Until one hot summer morning before sunrise, he heard a deafening roar. A helicopter, landing on the clearing in front of his yard. Dust flew. The wind shook the windows. Elijah stepped outside, heart pounding. And their two suited men approached, one holding a leather folder. "Are you Mr. Elijah Brooks?" one asked. Inside the folder was a letter handwritten in trembling ink. It was from the very orphans Elijah once fed. Now adults, they had become wealthy tech entrepreneurs. Their letter described how his single act of kindness had changed their lives, how the warmth of that diner meal gave them hope when the world had none to spare. Attached was a deed to a fully furnished house, a retirement account, and a trust fund in Elijah's name. He stared, speechless. The past, the pain, the buried kindness, it had returned not in silence, but with rotors slicing the sky. After years of being overlooked, disrespected, and forgotten, this moment was overwhelming. Elijah fell to his knees, not in grief, but in gratitude. For the first time in decades, the world looked at him not as a servant, but as someone who mattered. Dear audience, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to give it a like. It really helps. Elijah moved into his new home a week later. No aprons, no slurs, no fake smiles, just peace. But the past had marked him. Even in comfort, he remembered every injustice, every moment his worth was questioned. The gesture from those two now-grown children didn't erase the years, but it healed something deep. Elijah began speaking at community centers, telling. His story not about the money, but the meaning of unseen goodness. Because racism didn't break him, it revealed his quiet strength. He told others kindness isn't weakness, it's resistance. And the world slowly listened. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories and new videos.